Hello there, dear guys and girls. I'm Petra. I'm a life coach and an advocate for survivors of narcissistic abuse. I want to open up the subject again of anger and what anger is really telling you about setting healthy boundaries. It is really an invitation to help you to see where you need to set your boundaries. And anger is not something that is well liked in society. You know, if we get angry, and we voice our opinions in a very, very demanding way, then we are told to be silent. We are encouraged to not voice that anger, to sort of swallow it all down. And it is just not, it is very judged in society. But anger is a very useful and a very powerful emotion to have when it is channeled in the right way, when it is channeled in a healthy way. So, hell, you're angry, and damn it, you are resentful. And these are normal emotions to go through when you have come out or when you have been in an abusive relationship. So never suppress anger. And I know this is something that is often told to us, again, by therapists or by our family, by friends, by co-workers. Suppress your anger. Don't let it get to you. You know, and I think that is the worst advice anyone can ever give you. Never suppress your anger. Because your anger is telling you that emotional boundaries have been disregarded and violated. So this is something that we as survivors especially need to take a look at. So first off, have you ever set healthy boundaries? Because there is no point in being totally pissed off at the other person when you have not clearly stated your boundaries. If you do not have clarity about where your boundaries lie, then how can you communicate that to the other person? It is virtually impossible. So take the time to scrutinize yourself, scrutinize your life, and to be sure that you have already taken those steps in setting boundaries. Do you have them clear for yourself? Are you able to verbalize them for yourself? Know what you will and will not accept. And when you have gotten clarity about that, that is when you can go about communicating to the other person where your boundary lies and enforcing those boundaries as well. So if someone keeps shoving you, for example, pushing you, you can say, if you push me one more time, I will not get into conversation with you. Or maybe even a better way of describing that, a more clear way, is if someone is always trying to reinforce their opinion by raising their voice. And you can say to that person, if you continue to raise your voice when we are in conversation, then I will leave the room and I will come back and have that conversation with you when you have calmed down and when we can speak in a normal tone as two adults. Now, I know that is a very simple thing to say. It's not always a very simple thing to do, because I am one when I am trying to voice my opinion, and especially when it is about something that is near to my heart, I tend to raise my voice. And I know that my family and my daughter can testify to that is what I do. So it is an ongoing process. I am aware that I do it, and sometimes I'm better at breathing through that before I actually voice my opinion, and other times I just let loose. It depends on the circumstances. But coming back on topic, get your boundaries clear in your mind. You must know for yourself what you will and will not tolerate, what hurts you emotionally, what you are going to put up with, what crosses every single boundary that you have, you know, because boundaries have everything to do with your own thoughts, your own emotions, your feelings, your space, everything that makes up the person whom you are. Every aspect of that needs to have a healthy boundary so that you can feel grounded within yourself. You can show people how to treat you, because that is what boundary setting is all about. You are demonstrating to others how to treat you. So if you are being treated like a doormat, this again is from personal experience, being treated as a doormat, I was afraid to speak up for myself. I was afraid to say, I will not be treated this way. And this was purely because I placed no value on my own person at the time. When you place value on yourself, then it makes it so much more free-flowing to say, look, I'm just, you can go ahead and do whatever you want to do, but I'm not going to accept that. So you can do that all on your own, Sim. I will not accept bad behavior, for example. Setting boundaries is part of the package of self-care. It is honorable to you. It is being honest with yourself. You are honoring your boundaries by enforcing them. And it is all part of that package. Setting boundaries you can see as a road of respect. And a road of respect, of course, is involving another person or more people. And when you meet in the middle, you end here and the other person starts there. And that is how you can communicate effectively with each other, and that is how respect is also maintained. So setting boundaries is where you end and where the other person starts. That is really what it is all about. So if we look at the different forms of anger, anger is really that you are protecting and honoring your boundaries. And you can have the very loud anger, the rageful anger, where you will just be on this path, this war path, shouting and screaming and trying to get attention and being very loud and obnoxious, using profanity. That is a very loud way of being angry. And you also have the other side of that, where you can be angry in silence. That silent anger. That is the seething anger. That is the anger that causes resentment. And the resentment comes from the fact that you have been suppressing your anger. And you just go along with everyone else without questioning their behavior, without questioning yourself. And this is where that seething anger comes about. So even if you see someone who's very silent, and maybe this may be you as well, where you are very silent and you say to yourself, I don't have any anger, I'm not angry, but it's that silent anger. That is the anger where when you agree to do something that you really do not want to agree to. That is that rage, that anger where you isolate yourself from others because you are so seething with this anger. You isolate. You feel disrespected. You may have trouble speaking up. That is the silent anger. You swallow a lot of stuff that is done to you. You do not bring it up. You do not get into confrontation. You do not say, you just take it and you swallow it. And that is when the resentment starts building up as well. So there are two forms of anger, the very loud type of anger and the very silent type of anger. Anger, in my opinion, is a great emotion to have because it witnesses to a lot of life force and energy. That is what anger is about. Anger is telling you, look, something is not right. That is why you are angry. And setting a boundary is the opposite of that, because when you set that boundary and when your anger is free-flowing, when you channel your anger in a healthy and productive way, that is when you can set boundaries compassionately for you. That is when you can say, well, I set that boundary and yes, I was angry, but you can laugh at yourself. This is something that I went through this very morning, actually. I was in discussion regarding situations that are going on with my daughter at school. And I was in conversation with this person and I just felt disrespected. And I could feel this anger boiling to the surface. So what did I do? I first became very sarcastic. And I did laugh at myself because I thought, oh, there you go again. There you go again. You've got to, just check that anger there. It is not about becoming sarcastic, because what we really both want, the discussion I was in with this woman, we both want a solution for the problem that we are both experiencing at this point in time. So instead of becoming sarcastic, it is good to set a boundary, set a healthy boundary, which is what I did. And I said, look, I cannot accept what you are saying. This is the way I would like to see it done, especially because I am the mother in this whole situation. I would like things done a certain way that is respectful towards me and respectful towards my daughter. And that is also just setting a boundary. You don't, I think a lot of us think that setting a boundary is very unkind and it is very hurtful to the other person. But that is, if I may offer you a different perspective on that, it is not about being unkind to the other person. It is showing yourself that you value your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, and you will communicate this to the other party in a very kind but firm way. And when you do this, you will find that the whole fire in that whole situation, the fire of anger, is suddenly just sort of resolved. And both parties then get what they want because you are setting a boundary. And if you are in the right situation where the other person is also respecting that boundary, that is when you can meet, as I just said, you can meet in the middle. But of course, with an abusive person, it is very difficult for them to accept your boundary. And this is very characteristic of narcissists, of emotional abusers, is that when you set your boundary, they will have absolutely no regard for that. Because as we all know, a narcissist does not have a boundary themselves. They do not know what boundaries are. And therefore, they think it is quite all right to go about disregarding everyone else's boundaries. So different situation there, but it is very important that you set those boundaries because they are showing you that you are of value, that you have every right to be respected. Anger contains focused and protective energy. That is what anger does. And when we don't channel it in a healthy way, we struggle to set these boundaries. I'm just looking at my notes, sorry. And we respond in a way that shows when we let that anger to free flow, when it is free flowing instead of being suppressed, that is when we show our strength and resilience. So suppressing the anger is what is going to get you all heated up. It's going to, the resentment will seep through. But once you say, right, I have this anger and I have every right to feel this anger and to have it. Now, how am I going to channel it? What is my anger trying to tell me? Which aspect, which part of my life needs to be looked at, and where can I see where I need to set a boundary? And it can be even in the simple things like someone calling you after 9 o'clock in the evening. And I know I'm very big on this. I do not appreciate the fact that people call me at 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the evening. It is just that is my time and I will not share it with someone else. So it can be as simple as that, where you can state to the person, you can call me up until 8:45 in the evening, but after that, that is my time, and I would appreciate it if you have something to say to me, if you would please call the next morning. That is setting a boundary. It is kind towards yourself, it is loving towards yourself, and you are telling the person how to treat you. So that is just a simple example, but I invite you and encourage you to look at where you need to take inventory on your life and see what is it that is getting me to the point of boiling. What is this anger? Where is it coming from? And 9 times out of 10, it has to do with where you have not set a boundary. So boundary is a process, or setting boundaries is of course a process. You cannot just go from not setting boundaries to setting boundaries in full. Because when you do that, then you speak of an ultimatum. You know, if you don't do what I want right now, I will never talk to you again, for example. That is setting an ultimatum. That is not setting a healthy boundary. So again, setting boundaries and just becoming aware and becoming comfortable with your own anger will allow you to look and see where that boundary needs to be set. And the process of that, you need to create a ritual. So it is creating this ritual on a daily basis, practicing it, setting small boundaries at first. For example, please do not call me after 9 o'clock in the evening. Please speak to me in a respectful way. I cannot meet you at 2 o'clock because that is my time for me, or that is my time that I'm spending with my child, for example. So that's the way to start, is by setting very small boundaries. And then as you set more and more small boundaries, that is when it will amount to you being able to set bigger boundaries, healthier boundaries. So don't beat yourself up about it. Take it one step at a time and just get comfortable with feeling your anger and with setting a boundary. It's all about getting comfortable. And in order to get comfortable, you have to leave your comfort zone, especially in the beginning. Of course, it's going to feel awkward because in most cases, especially when you have been raised in a dysfunctional home, you have never been taught how to set boundaries. You have never been taught how to speak up for yourself, how to honor your feelings, how to honor your body. So it all starts with taking those baby steps. And it's like, it's like going to the gym. You cannot go to the gym once a year and expect to have this killer body. It is something that you have to do every single day, work out, same as working out that muscle of setting boundaries. And the more you do it, the often you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And that is how you're going to create that killer body of confidence as well. So I hope that has shed some light on it. Again, you will know when your anger is free flowing, when you can have compassion, when you can laugh at certain things you've done or the boundaries that you've set, and just be okay with that. Just make it very light-hearted, especially in the beginning. But boundaries are definitely part of self-care. You need them. Without boundaries, everything is just havoc. You create havoc in your own life. You create stress. You create anxiety. And this is something that we are all looking to heal from. Just remember that you are always entitled to your worth, your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, your space, as I just said. And you are entitled to that as much as the other person is. So it's not about breaking the other person down in order to maintain your boundaries. It is about realizing that the other person also has boundaries and also has a right, also has an entitlement to their thoughts and feelings. And, of course, that is slightly different than or not slightly, it's very different than when you're dealing with a healthy person and when you're dealing with an abusive person. Is that, yes, the narcissist is entitled to their thoughts, feelings, opinions. That is all fine, but so are you. And you are not responsible for the other person in your life. You are not responsible for the abuser in your life. You are only responsible for yourself, for your life, and for you setting and maintaining those healthy boundaries. So, stop disregarding your anger. Get in touch with that anger and listen. It is giving you, your anger is issuing an invitation to you to look and scrutinize where you need to start setting boundaries. Don't be upset with your anger. Let it out in a healthy way. And from there, you can go on to building the courage, to building your confidence. It has all got to do with that very power emotion of anger. Thank you again for watching. I invite you to please share your comments here down below, and always feel free to email me if you are looking for one-on-one coaching. Then just under the video, in the description box, I have my website and my email address. Have a great week, everyone, and speak to you all very soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye now.